royalhood. The show is basically reminding us that we are all royals. And in this day and age, I feel like we have an extreme problem, which is people are living their lives according to what we call our own truths. So that begs the question, how are we actually supposed to live? Like this, your truth versus the truth, the way, and the light. So I'm going to be viewing this through a Christian lens and having a lot of different guests from all types of religions. I'm not going to judge, but we're going to be here to scrutinize what the Bible says about you, and we're going to have a conversation and chop it up, okay? So today's guest is, I don't have drums, but we can do this. Emery!
What's up? What's up, man?
How are you doing?
I'm alright. How are you?
I'm great. It's nice to have you here as usual.
Is this like your first episode?
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay.
And you are.
Okay.
Actually, I can't say the statement I was going to say. Eh?
It's okay. We say after.
Okay, cool. We'll
Yeah.
say it when the camera cuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm happy to have you here.
Happy to be here, man.
Thank you for coming here cross country.
Of course.
Across the border to get here.
Of course.
We love it. We love it.
Yeah.
So basically, our first conversation is going to be about gender wars, right? And I felt who better to have this conversation with than you, because
I'm not qualified to have this conversation.
I mean, you are male. I hope you don't identify as other.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm
I'll
good.
be representing the females. I think from that standpoint, we're good.
Cool.
Okay, all right. So before we even go into the details, I'm going to ask you a few questions. And all I want you to answer with is a yes or no. Do not.
That's rough, bruh.
Do not over.
You know I gotta go in.
We can chop it up later.
Okay.
But just yes or no.
All right.
All right. Do you believe gender wars are necessary?
No.
Do you believe there is a superior sex?
No.
Do you think you are... this is a painful question.
Ludo out here about to go left on me,
the trashy men people complain about?
Okay, yes. Yeah, I'll own it.
Do you think men of today know what they want?
Men of today?
Yeah.
Bruh, I'm like one dude. How do I speak for all men? Okay, no. Yeah, that's a conversation, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a conversation.
Yeah.
Do you think women of today know what they want?
I'm always careful speaking for women. But
okay, that I've known, yeah?
But, okay, no, that's a conversation too, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think we, as a people, having been exposed to, more rights in today's world, do you think we've evolved?
Evolved?
With regards to how just men and women operate day-to-day society? Do you see an evolution? Because the more we have exposure, some people will say, okay, there's all these benefits that have come with,
I'll say, I'll be positive here and say, yeah, some evolution has happened.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So now we can get into the conversation.
Let's go, man.
All right. So gender wars, right? Gender wars are basically these battles that we see between sexes.
Yeah.
And these can come from historical backgrounds, cultural backgrounds,
Of course.
And basically that grows into these arguments we see every day. They always stem from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So the question basically is, we have to ask, ultimately, what are we fighting for?
I mean,
what are we fighting for? So what do you think we are fighting for? Because right now, I'm going to give an example of a situation I will not name drop, but I'm sure everyone will know who I am talking about.
Cool.
So we saw a story where a man recently took his life, right?
Yeah.
And he shared...
Sad story. Man.
Yeah, a very sad story. He shared everything that happened in his relationship that he felt led to this.
Yeah.
Now, the question I want to ask is, how did this become a gender war? Because it's like, I can literally see in the commentaries, like, no, you women, you are, and I can see you, I'm like, why is everything not just, let's analyze the situation, why is it a gender war?
First of all, this Oprah thing you're doing is working.
Okay.
May you go far. Secondly, I'm so lazy to have this conversation, but since it's you, let's go. I think it's just misunderstanding. And people think they know better. People do more talking than listening. I refrain. The only place where I speak my mind is in the Tuma groups I'm found in. Like, the WhatsApp groups where I'm with people that I relate with. I'm rarely online advocating or speaking, saying polarizing stuff in this gender war, whatever I want to call it. But I think it's a lack of understanding, man. Women and men are not meeting each other halfway, and I'll speak as a man, right? There's just selfishness, man.
Yeah.
When you're refusing to see stuff from another person's perspective, you're selfish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all this noise, comment section noise, is selfishness and small-mindedness. And yeah, it makes me lazy. I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for.
I mean, I understand because it's reached a point where basically it becomes a bit draining, right? Like
Yeah.
it's consistently happening over and over again.
Yeah.
I recently saw a post where I don't know how to say his name properly, Dr. Moyayati. How do you say his name?
Hey, he's not paying me for publicity, so I'm not saying his name.
So anyway, he put up a post and he was talking about what men need in relationships, why women, how women cause relationships to end, the toxic things they do, etc., etc. And I remember because I recently had come into a space where I was trying to be honest with myself and saying, I need to analyze the toxic traits I have. And at the same time that was happening, that popped up. So I was like, okay, let me learn what it is I do that's toxic, right?
Yeah.
The first comments, as you can expect, is what about the women? What about if the man is toxic? What about if the. Which I feel is the beginning of the problem. If I can't sit and ask myself, what am I doing? That's hurting that agenda.
There's this thing where we want to equalize the conversation.
All the time.
Yeah, men this, no, even women this. Like, there's time and place for that, but it's not time to equalize the conversation. You know what I mean? I mean, personally, and I'm not even trying to, what do they call it? Panda right now. We should give women a break, man. You know what I mean? Especially women in a Zambian, African, traditional Zambian context. It's wild already. It's hard already. So, I feel like men, I'll speak for myself. It's my responsibility to show leadership instead of being critical. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's very draining. I've had this conversation a million times with a million people.
Let's pretend it's the first time.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's back to my first point. Lack of understanding, lack of chill. Social media got people so quick to be triggered and respond. It's interesting what you find out about yourself and this topic. If you just sit down and analyze, okay, like you said, what are my toxic traits in a relationship? What do I bring? I'm not even trying to go to the table stuff. Just what do you bring? What essence do you bring? Is it good for the other person? Is it good for symbiosis? Is it good for synergy? Yeah, look those words up. So, that's the most important thing, I guess.
I had actually lost a train of thought and you brought me back to it.
Oh, my bad.
No. As in, you brought me back to it because you said something and I was trying so hard to remember what it was. It was about like the whole concept of the angry black woman.
Oh.
Right? I've struggled so much understanding what I feel about the term the angry black woman. And this is because like my evolution as a person has started looking at it from different angles, right?
Yeah.
So the angry black woman initially for me was people looking at someone whose anger is justified and they're poking holes at her. Like maybe she's gone through sexual harassment and she's angry. And instead of you understanding her anger, you label her as an angry black woman.
Can I tell you something interesting? The angry black woman doesn't exist.
So that's what I wanted to know. What are your thoughts on her?
She doesn't exist, bruh.
So do you feel, okay, explain you're saying she doesn't exist.
Look, I'll start from a very foundational place. Strong black woman. What is that? What is that? Bruh, black women, African, y'all need a break. Women need a break. Black women, African women need a break because that trope has had everyone burdening and putting, you know what I mean? It's nice to romanticize. I was raised by my mom, single mom, since I was like 10. So if anyone has that strong black woman license, I have it. I've seen my mom do amazing things, but the woman gets tired. She's not strong every day all day. She gets weak, and she's a human being. There's no other race. Strong Filipino woman, strong Indian woman. It doesn't exist. It's just people going through stuff, and it's being subjected to socioeconomic, situations. So now to the angry black woman, dude, it doesn't exist. if you're in a situation where you're victimized or treated like you're not appreciated, you will be angry. You know what I mean? Put any woman, any person in that situation, you get the same results. So I think it doesn't exist. I think that vocabulary should be done away with entirely, and we should humanize. I can't believe I'm saying this. We should humanize African and black women.
Yeah.
Just a little more. You know what I
Point
mean?
we need to say it.
You know what I mean? Same with the angry black man thing. Dude, if you've been subjected to oppression for 500 plus years, you gotta be pissed about it. It's normal. No one is out here, no, the angry white man. He's
Exactly.
tired. Can I say this? I'm too woke for this. I'm too woke for that thinking. You know what I mean? That kind of mentality. But I get where you're coming from.
I guess
Yeah.
with like so like the evolution of like how I started to understand it, for example, when I was talking about how for me I felt like you're not hearing a woman who's angry, right? At the end of the day, I started seeing that the same people who kind of poke holes at this woman are quick
Oh,
to
I
label her
see. Oh, I
something.
see.
You know what I mean?
Oh, no, no. She gets angry. So her anger must be respected. It's not, when I say she doesn't exist, that's not me ruling out, okay, so she should be, what's this, what's the word? Gaslit?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
her anger is not
Yeah, it's not valid. Yeah, but yeah, the validation in her anger is definitely a topic of conversation. But you know, it's it's not the thing. There's a thing we're not tackling. The anger is a result of a thing.
of a thing.
You know what I'm
And if we
saying?
tackle that,
Yeah, what's
then we
the
take
thing?
away. And also, if we box everyone as angry, then we don't and
Bruh.
we don't name what the thing is.
Bruh.
Like what has made you angry?
The anger is a reaction, right?
You know, yeah, it's
To
a
what?
reaction to something.
To what? Let's talk about
You
that
know?
what. You know what I mean?
So, I was talking about like before we started this,
Yeah.
you know, how I think softness is warfare too. This is something I want to
So
be able to
deep.
say, and I feel like this comes from both sides in both genders, men and women, how we relate to
So
each other.
deep.
Softness, and I had to come to this realization after going through so much pain and understanding that I was tired of feeling so drained by it. Like I'm tired of feeling drained. I want to get my power back. I don't want to have that reaction where ultimately whenever something is said online, it starts to feel like it's a personal attack on me.
Yes.
You know? So
Yeah.
at which point do you feel like we need to learn that soft, because I think that same softness is the one that makes me now approach a video like the one I saw where they're saying, men, we wanna teach women how to address, you know, situations like this with the male in their life, that they care. Like the headline is saying, a man you care for, right? It's not saying, like, that's something what I found crazy. It wasn't saying the average man on the street who's catcalling you.
Yeah.
It wasn't saying the person who's degrading you. It was
Yeah.
saying your father, your whatever, your loved one.
Yeah.
Let's tell you how to understand that you can speak to them better. And we're not even soft enough to say, oh, I want to love, you know, the male figure who's actually a good male figure in my life better.
I think softness, or, and I may be wrong, feminine softness is a function of the energy women receive from us. Because think about it, if I get you, set you up, give you everything you need, you don't have to work, right? What's left to do? All you need to do is explore your feminine creativities, and you know what I mean? And there's softness in that. But if I subject you to a situation where you have to work uh, like a man or push like a man, you know, and we're like two dudes pushing fouls, you're not gonna be soft. You're in the marketplace, you're pushing fouls, and you're subjected to so much. Pretty much every field is male dominated, right? You have to have thick skin and toughness, and it's difficult to be soft like that. Then for dudes, your softness is a function of um, how comfortable you are in your own skin and how you're responding to God's calling on your life. And this is difficult because people that are not spiritual or religious, this is where it stops for them, right? I'm sorry, I can't explain it any other way. I feel like when you center yourself, know your purpose, all you can do is be in touch with who you are as a man, and your softness, it will be there for people that need it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know how to do that outside God, personally.
I hear you.
Yeah, I'm not like, um, I'm not subscribing anything outside that, but I
But
hope it makes sense.
I personally feel that's the struggle. Like that's where we find all the division. Like for people who have no, I don't even want to say moral compass because I don't always believe the good thing to do is the God thing to do, right? Because you can do a good thing that's harmful. Okay. For
Yeah.
example, someone who keeps coming and abusing you and using you over and over again, where you need to learn to draw the line and say, this is now detrimental to my health. You know,
Yeah.
you tell yourself you're doing the good thing.
Yeah.
But you know where God is like, look, you're not even supposed to be messing with this energy anymore. I have called you
That's
to
so
higher,
deep, man.
you know.
That's so deep.
So I think at the end of the day, when it's also hard for me. It's hard for me to get to points where I'm talking to you and I'm telling you, oh look, I actually feel like this is the way you should do if you don't believe in God. Because how am I going to tell you, for example, that you need to be you can still feel pain and be gentle?
Bruh,
You know,
I'm
how
just
am I going to
figuring that
tell you
out
that?
now in my life,
You know,
you know? Because this other day, uh, my sister tickled me. I'm a grown man. And I'm out here being tickled. And I got mad at her. But she was like, bruh, just have joy sometimes. And it stayed with me. You know, it stayed with me. Like, her tickling me, seeing me laugh. She's just seeing her brother in a place of a state of joy, no matter how brief it is. And I was always just, yeah, time to push fouls. And she's like, dude, you don't even know how precious that moment is. And that's a moment of softness. And I was like, no, I need softness in my life. And dudes are scared to have these conversations because it sounds like you're gay. But, bruh, trust me, these men you see who act tough, there's someone they're soft to. And ain't nothing gay about it, you know? So,
I guess we also need to have the conversation of what strength is,
yeah.
because you know, being tough is like the confused for strength. When I feel like vulnerability is strength, and one thing I can tell you for sure, I would never trust a male, and I have. Because I grew up with two brothers in my home,
Yeah.
and you know, a dad. I was the only girl, so I grew up observing males around me. I cannot trust a male who can't be vulnerable. I can't.
That's so important, man.
Never. Like if I could open up to you about things and I never see moments where you are soft enough to, I'm like,
Ah, but vulnerability is wild for us, Exe.
so who are you showing your vulnerability to in
No,
life?
no, the thing is,
Wild with who?
no, the thing is, it will be shown where it's welcome, right? But even when it's welcome, your guard is up because you're scared of being mocked. Look at Tyrese, bruh. Can we talk about Tyrese? I mean, this dude went online and cried on his phone. I wouldn't do that, but he was going through stuff and he was mocked, like laughing stock level on. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, there's a conversation to be had about this man's vulnerability. When a woman goes online and is crying, we're all feeling sympathy.
Well, there's someone who did that in Zambia. With people still dissed her.
For real?
Yeah.
Am I out of touch or what?
You
Okay.
might be.
Yeah, my point is, yeah, man, it's scary, very scary to show vulnerability as a guy. It takes strength, like you said. I feel like if you're going to be all tough, all macho, showing the obvious masculine traits, you might actually be weak and covering up for something. It sounds like to my cliche stuff when talking, but when you actually see it, this guy, why is he? Why does he have to be the guy when he walks into the room? You look into it, and, oh, this guy is insecure about ABC. Okay, you you know yourself, you know your strengths, your limits, and you just chill about it. You know, if there's a need for you to be Superman in a situation, you show up, but like it's not like you're leading with it. I feel like when men lead with that toughness, it's weakness, man. And yeah, dudes need softness. You just need your mother or just someone.
Who is soft to,
You
right?
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just tell you, baby, everything's gonna be alright, and you even cry a bit.
You even you even are in fetal position.
Yeah, your mom, your wife, your girlfriend, whoever like is in that space, it's important. I don't mock suicide victims because I can't imagine a world without the option to have softness. Like it's just hard all the time. Dude, I've got this poem I wrote where there's no women on earth, just men. nightmare world. Like where's the you know what I mean? It's depressing to think you can't get that from your person and your the person you're with, or even just people that you love in your family or your friends. And it doesn't just have to be from a female, right?
Yeah,
You can
true.
get softness from a fellow guy. You know what I mean? Bromance, as it would be called, which I think is another term we should do away
We
with.
should do away with.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
nonsense.
I agree.
Yeah, but it's deep stuff.
So I recently felt like I cracked the code of what submission. Like I've been searching, to understand what
This is
submission
interesting.
means.
Ludo on submission. My G, the first time I saw you on stage, you did this to my poem at die nigga die. Can I say that here?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, die nigga die. I'ma stab you in the eye. I don't know who hurt you.
Bear in mind.
I don't know who hurt
You
you.
know what? He's always referring to this piece.
Bruh, it changed my
Wait,
life.
bear in mind, this piece was talking about child soldiers. Before anyone thinks I was trying to kill my ex or anything.
We didn't hear that.
It was child soldiers.
Bruh, you were
I can find this. No, I'm not. I'm sure I can't. But I can try and find like pieces of it. I was talking about. I remember I'd watched. What were these movies that were trending a lot? There were these. What were they called? These blood diamonds. Or
yeah.
there was a phase where they were popping up. There was even another that was kind of close to it.
Oh yeah.
And I was trying to think about how do they brainwash these kids into holding this gun and convincing this child.
Yo, that's another podcast,
So
bruh.
that was that.
That's another podcast.
But I remember in that same day, I did Man Up.
Yeah.
And so I did them back to back.
Bruh.
And Man Up was brutal.
So you have to understand, me hearing you talk about submission, it's kind of a culture shock. Because you came out the gate destroying us, man. Yeah.
And you know what? This is something I want to go back to because I had a recent
Don't destroy us
No,
again.
As in, this is the conversation.
No, we need it.
I had a recent argument with someone because I posted something like this where I'm talking about submission, and then he goes, "You used to be so angry," and I was like, this person wants me to, and I snapped for him because of the
thing that came out.
same conversation we were having. I was like, "Do you remember what I was sharing when I was angry? Do you remember the experiences that were happening to me?
Yeah.
Why have you invalidated what happened to me? Maybe I've healed right now." And I'm talking from the perspective of healing. But then I was talking from pain. It was raw pain.
Oh, yeah.
You have sexual harassment experiences happening. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
You're sharing these. Should I be smiling? Should I be like, oh? And also, my experiences were never targeted at an entire gender. Even when I released the hashtag men are trash, I remember I was talking about the hashtag. People would whisper in my ear. Men would come like, celebrities that are well known could not say it out loud that they liked my song. They'd come, "Dude, I really like your song. Your song's dope.
Ludo, stay shaking the table. Keep doing your thing, girl.
I like your song. Your song's dope." But I was like, we need to talk about it. Where is it coming from? And the last thing I said is, you have to understand that this is what made her scream men are trash. So I'm taking you through a journey. If you can respect where she's coming from, you can come back and say, okay, let's have a conversation. What hurt you?
Yeah. Yeah,
Let's
definitely.
heal. Let's
definitely.
heal. Me, who's healing from my ego, because when you said one term, I thought that my ego was more important than your hurt. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah. I love hip hop, man. I love hip hop. One thing that helped me understand where you're coming from and helped me just get a nice grip on what feminism is NWA. Bleep the police. It's a reaction, right? These people are getting terrorized by cops every day for nothing because they are black people and they are over-policed in this disenfranchised section of a city. Of course, they will say, the police. So men are trash, of course. You know what I mean? So even your song, when you dropped it, it took me a second to appreciate what you were trying to do. But it's a much needed conversation. I wish bigger people, bigger voices chimed in, but you were solo, XA. I have to give you your props, man. Alone, no backup.
You know what I find crazy? A lot of people would say things like, you people are attacking Ludo. It's crazy. Me, I would log off. I literally do a post, log off. And I would have no idea what people are saying. I remember one time I was even feeling stressed. I literally felt like God told me, "My G, what are you stressed about? Log out. There's a real world waiting for you." And I promised, I felt so relieved. What am I even doing? But you're taking me away from the point of submission.
My bad. Too much data. Too much
data.
You
But I want to say this because I might not say the point.
Yeah.
my cracking the code of submission. Because I was like, okay, what really is submission, right? Whenever I'd find myself, and this is what I think happens to a lot of people after they've gone through a healthy a bad relationship, toxic into a healthy relationship, right? I was asking myself why certain things used to appeal. For example, imagine how the bad boy has always appealed. The guy who walks in looking nice, looking humble, like he wants to love you, doesn't appeal. The guy looking, tattooed, whatever we view as a tough exterior,
Yeah.
he walks in and you're like, oh, that person. I was like, one, there's a programming. It's been happening since we were young, where you watch things like Love Don't Cost a Thing. That guy was a geek, no one cared. Once he transforms, he's like abusive,
Yeah.
He's like, oh, he appeals,
Yeah.
right? I started, now you deal in a space where you have healthy friendships, a healthy relationship, and you're failing to process it. So much so that when he does an act of love, or even like correction, that's like, I don't like this, it's an attack. Why are you attacking and you attack it from, as a woman, why are you making me feel like this?
Yeah.
But my understanding of it was, ultimately, submission is trust. Trusting that you're not harming me. Trusting that you're here to care for me.
Trusting that you're standing on business.
Thank you. So, and that's why it can't be given to someone who doesn't have authority. You cannot submit to someone, because how am I submitting to you for vibe? I'm submitting to you because you are coming from an authoritative place where it's like, okay, I know who I am and I got you. Like, for real, for real. So even when I say, look, I don't like this, it's because it's come from a place of love, not from a place of attack.
Bars. I think for me, it this submission stuff, it makes sense when it's natural. I've never believed in asking for submission. It just gives insecurity. It just gives performative, leadership, if I can call it. Look, if you find yourself in a situation where, okay, I'll give the simplest example. Why do kids love Optimus Prime? You know what I mean? You do whatever the guy says. You know what I mean? Like he's why do kids love Captain America or Iron Man? Bruh, I feel like when you rise to the occasion in your place of kingship or queenship, whatever, your place of royalty, and you're moving in your God-ordained destiny, people gravitate, people submit, left, right. You know what I mean? It's just nature, man. But if you're wishy-washy and you're not trustworthy, like you said, why should I trust you with anything? And people don't even talk about this. Submission is two-way, huh? It's a two-way thing, because if I'm not submitting to God, you don't need to submit to me. You know what I mean? You don't. You have the right to say, I'm not following this guy.
And for me, like someone who submits to God, because like I say, when I say trust, it's when he says left, you're not like, God, why left? Is left going to harm me? Is left going to be, it's like, you care for me, you love me, you're my father. You wouldn't say something that would harm me.
Left's gotta be the way.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think with the human, it's like, okay, you care for me. Let's understand where this is coming from before I feel like this is an attack.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's real. Also, man, come on. This guy, look, your hair is sorted, your nails are sorted. You know, if ninjas attack your house, he will beat all of them. Why? What's stopping you? You know what I mean?
What are you stressed for? I remember some woman who was saying, she posted a video where she's like, if you find yourself around people who are doing, like if you're always going, ta-ta-ta, she's like, why are you around that energy? Why aren't you removing yourself to a place where you can comfortably be soft? Like, I don't want to feel stressed. I know that your version of what stresses you is different, and that's why communication is best.
Yeah.
But if you're like, look, for me, if this is what I need, this is my love language, this is what makes me feel fulfilled, I need A, B, C, D, that's sorted, I'm chill. What am I fighting about?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like when you, okay, fighting is important, right? You need to know what's what so that you can fix it. But there's that fighting which is just noise, bruh. You know what I mean? You even know, this person is not even making an effort, and
I think there's a sort of fighting that feels like it's harming you. That fight where, like,
It's
now,
strife.
yeah, like now I'm just like I'm stuck in this state of always feeling this heaviness that you don't even feel.
It's
It's
strife.
like I carry it on, and I think strife is accurate because it feels like the heaviness
Bro,
of.
we're not meant for strife.
I
I
agree.
swear we're not.
I agree.
Strife. So I there's just the kind of anxiety and the kind of edginess that it puts you on, and you feel like you're alone. You could be, you could have family around you, you could be with your person, you could be with close friends, but if there's strife, you're alone and you're figuring it out alone, and that's not a good place to be, man. You know, that's where those suicides come from, Kairi.
It's true.
Yeah, so it's messy stuff.
Okay, so I want to address something now. This woman, first of all, before I even address her, I just want to say
Who's gonna catch smoke from
she,
Ludo
she
today?
upsets me a lot. I don't stand
Bruh.
for a lot of the things she stands for. When I started following her, I loved her for a whole microsecond. But she said something good, so I'm going to be drawing the. They say what is good. What is good? Meditate on it.
Before you diss her, would you be willing to take a selfie with her?
No.
That's my measuring stick. Like if I can't take a selfie with you, I'm a hater for real.
No, but like, why am I not take? Okay, what's the context? Will I walk up to her and say, "Oh, let's take a selfie"? No. If we meet and we're like working by some grace that makes me travel across the world, we can take a picture together.
Got you.
As long as people don't think we stand for the same things. Anyway, the woman is Candice Owens.
Oh, that lady. Okay, cool.
Candice Owens, I love what she says when she's saying things that are that are correct.
That are correct. Yeah.
Because she also sometimes is very passionate about the wrong things. And that's why I said, for me, if it's not from a biblical perspective, half the time I'm like, I'm not going to listen to what you're saying. If it's your feelings, your emotions, your heart, your what's happening to you, emotions change. So tomorrow you have a different feeling, and that's good. But she talked about how women have asked for the worst end of the deal. And this is how she explained it. She said, women want the worst end of the deal. They want to work as hard. They don't want you to do good things for them. So no chivalry. Don't open the door for me. I can open the door myself.
Died, yo. What the
I
hell?
can open the door myself. And then she says they're like, and I can take care of these kids and these bills and these what myself. And I don't need nobody. Who said that? And I can, she even mentioned I can sleep with as many people as I want and have zero commitment. And she's like, who told people? Who started selling this idea? And ultimately, I want this to be the last thing we talk about, because ultimately, I think what we're being sold today is the biggest scam, men and women.
I know exactly where it started. Exactly.
Where did it start?
2 songs. 2 powerful songs. One is by Destiny's Child, a very powerful group from back in the day called Destiny's Child. They had some independent woman song.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool for its time, right? But you debunk this stuff and you're like, nah, this ain't it. Jennifer Lopez did the song called My Love Don't Cost a Thing. She capped from A to Z, bruh. We know there's a price to pay for this stuff. I feel like I don't know when exactly it started. Those were jokes, by the way. I don't know when I don't know when exactly it started, but I don't know, man. I think I'll take as a male, I'll take responsibility to say, look, if you're handling your business and you're taking care of the women in your life, why would she say, no, I'm independent, I don't need you? If you're really, really in their lives involved and, helping them fulfill their fullest potential, and vice versa, what's the problem? What's this independent talk? You know what I mean? We need each other. Dude, the only reason I have empathy, the only reason I have chill is because of the women in my life. From my mom to little nieces, there's no monoliths here, right? I haven't even traveled that much to other countries, to live in other countries, to say, okay, women from this country are like this. Just in Z, there's so many nuances and there's no monoliths. You know what I mean? You can generalize here and there, but there's a wideness. I was talking to this guy the other day, and he was like, women, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, bruh, what makes you think you can figure women out like a Venn diagram? No, bruh, it's a whole world. You don't know. You couldn't possibly begin to conceptualize. Just take what you know and start appreciating, the little that you can, internalize and get a grip on. Otherwise, it's challenging stuff. and more listening, man.
Mm.
You know, yeah, that's it's exhausting. It's exhausting, but more listening helps.
Yeah,
Yeah, uh, it's a chima wormhole, man. It's a rabbit hole.
it really is.
Yeah.
I'd like us to like kind of close with what you think. Like, you can share what you feel. We need to, what space we need to get in, what you feel like will progress.
Man,
What you feel will progress.
I'm not
our
qualified
society.
to answer any of this
You
stuff,
are
right?
qualified to answer because we are saying what you feel as Amory.
Here's my thing.
What you think the conversations are we need to be having, what spaces do we need to be putting ourselves in, what line of thought do we need to be having for us to progress to a point where we are not fighting each other anymore. That's just the conversation
Okay.
that I want us to have. Yeah.
Here's my little disclaimer though. I'm one guy, bro.
You've disclaimed a lot. That's why I said what you think.
Okay, cool. Sorry, repeat the question.
There could really be 10 guys in a room with the wrong perspective. So I just want to know yours because I'm sure it's coming from a genuine place.
My
What do you
bad.
think
I'm in my head right now. Repeat the question real quick.
As you get out of your head,
Yeah.
what conversations do you think we need to have more of?
Oh.
What do you think, what sort of spaces do you think we need to be in?
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, what do we need to do to progress
Just get
to a
offline.
point where
Just get offline and
get in
and
the
have
road?
real conversations with dude, the internet is fake, right? Because you think men and women are at war. And it ain't even like that. In the real world, things work differently. Of course, there's bleed over, internet stuff will bleed over into real life will bleed over but at the end of it all, life is hard, right? Economically, the entire world, it's wild. What woman will come and say, I don't need a man? Really, really. You know what I mean? What man will come and say, women will call? We need each other, bruh. You know what I mean? And more conversations offline, I think, would make sense. And just initiative. One thing I did for myself is I took initiative. I was like, okay, what is my problem, right? What do I do wrong? Am I seeing women wrong? Every guy has this, right? No guy was born a saint. No guy was born, with a feminist ideology. Every dude's toxic. Every dude came out thinking women a certain way, and you have to go on like a journey to change your thinking. And if you're raised well, it helps. But you take initiative and you start doing your own research and you start having conversations with women. You know what I mean? And it's nice when you have women that are not scared of you to tell you, bruh, you messed up here. This is not cool. Women are scared. I didn't know. There's so much fear. You mess up and she won't even correct you because she doesn't want to die. You know what I mean? And I used to, I'm not trying to hurt the fly. Just tell me. And I can't count how many times in relationships the girl you're with is just scared to tell you some real stuff. Dude. But I realized there's a lot of fear, you know what I mean? So more conversations offline, safe conversations where women can just feel free to talk. I don't know how that can be done, enacted, you know what I mean? But I think it's possible. Yeah, I think the internet should take a break. And I don't know, that's not practical for a lot of people, but it's a start, right? Yeah, so.
Actually, the last the show you guys did, Men Are Necessary.
Oh, Jesse and Musenges. Yeah.
Yes, well, all of you, because you all took stage.
Pretty much, yeah.
I loved what that event did because outside of the performances, there were the conversations which had both men and women talking about the relevance of good men in our society.
Man.
You know?
You look at that heading, that caption, and it's a turn off, right?
Yes. People already were triggered. But the other thing I asked is why there were not enough men there. But that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
In conclusion, I just want to say that keep creating the healthy spaces you're creating. Let's come to a point where I think that what we need is more spaces like that, where men and women can come and talk about how they can, what they both need from each other in a safe space where it's not like an attack.
Yeah, and a safe space could be anything. You could go out for a drink and have these conversations. You know what I mean? But it takes takes guts, man. These are not easy conversations to have. You know, and it takes people that, I guess, people that you consider your tribe, even people that you don't, maybe, but you know,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
People who
fun.
you feel like I can have this conversation
Yeah,
and we can go back and forth without going at each other.
yeah, and just
Yeah.
know where to remove yourself.
Mm.
In situations where you're trying to explain yourself, and this person is just not on
They're
your
waiting to be
wavelength.
triggered.
And me too, right?
Yeah.
I've been in situations where I'm so adamant and stubborn about my opinion, and this person, they can't get through to me. So it's a two-way street.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm so glad we had this conversation.
me too, man.
Although I feel like it's
We rushed.
I feel like there's so much to chop up in
Yeah,
there.
it's like a
But
whole week.
yeah, it is like a week of a
Yeah,
conversation. And you would need a lot of rest because you've been saying you're tired.
I'm
However,
good. I'm good, man. I'm good.
however, you've been such a good guest. I just want to say thank you so much for coming through.
No sweat.
I just want to remind people that this podcast will be airing every 2 weeks. Please do make sure you comment and tell us what you think about the conversations. Let us know, what you feel we need to do to end these gender wars. And
You
do
asked
you
me.
want to drop?
You asked me something.
What did you
You
ask me?
asked me if I thought I was trash. Why did you do that?
No, because I feel like that's the beginning of opening up a conversation. If someone is able to say that I feel like I'm trash, then we can talk. If someone's saying I feel like I'm perfect, there's no room to have any conversation. So you actually, I was happy that you were able to say that. I feel like I'm, I'm trash too.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like I'm
What?
trash too. Like the thing is when you start like for me, being telling God, look, clean up everything you need to clean up.
Got you.
The
The moment you
oh my
invoke God.
gosh, I'm like, oh no, I have this problem.
Yeah.
I have an ego problem. I have I'm talking to you, but I'm already thinking I'm better than all that. So I'm like, oh no, I really have a lot to learn. And I think that's the basis for conversations like this. Let's learn together. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Nice
pretty
having
much.
you.
Yeah, man. It's been a vibe.
Bye.
Peace out.